Hey guys, so today is Wednesday, March 26th, and I had my DBT group from 4 o'clock to 6, and so now it's almost 10 o'clock, and I just wanted to go over with you guys like what I learned today in group. And yeah, so today was a good group. I mean, it's always a good group. I'm really enjoying this group. I'm glad that I've been making this little web series for you guys. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And today was session 6. Yeah, session 6. So today, first I'll talk about the homework I did that was due today, that, I think it's gonna make a lot more sense if you guys watch the previous videos that I've made, in order to kind of catch up, if you haven't done so already, on what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Because in the last session, in my last video, it was, we're still talking about distress tolerance, but the homework that we were given was to practice some of the skills for improving the moment skills. So basically we were given a bunch of options to practice, and there's skills with imagery. For example, imagine very relaxing scenes, imagine a secret room within yourself, close the door on anything that can hurt you, imagine everything going well, imagine coping well, make up a calming fantasy world, etc. And then another section of improving the moment skills is with meaning. So with meaning, find purpose, meaning, or value in a painful situation. Focus on whatever positive aspects of a painful situation you can find. Repeat these positive aspects in your mind, etc. And then with prayer, open your heart to a supreme being, God, or your own wise mind, and turn things over to God or a higher being. And for this one, I mean, if you're an atheist and you really don't feel comfortable with doing that, they explain to us that we don't have to do it, if that's the case. But for me, it's not the case. So yeah, with relaxing actions, take a hot bath, drink hot milk, massage your neck and scalp, practice yoga or other stretching, breathe deeply, etc. Then with one thing in the moment, focus your entire attention on just what you're doing. Keep yourself in the moment, put your mind in the present, do awareness exercises, etc. With a brief vacation, so when they say vacation, they don't literally mean pack your stuff and go to Florida for a week, because I don't know about you guys, but I definitely can't afford to do that financially or whatever. But it can be something simple as unplugging your phone for a day, get in bed, pull the covers up over your head, take a 1-hour breather from hard work, take a brief vacation from adulthood, like maybe watch SpongeBob SquarePants or something for an hour, I don't know. It's basically just like you're planning to have that time for yourself to relax. It's not the same thing as procrastination, because it's planned ahead and you put a certain amount of time aside. You don't say, okay, you could say, okay, I'm going to take an hour, and then take an hour. Procrastination is taking an hour, and then another hour, and then another hour, and so on and so forth. So it's not the same thing as that. Or with self-encouragement, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. Repeat over and over, I can stand it, I can stand it, I can stand it. I'm doing the best I can do. Cheerlead yourself. Or come up with a motto that you can live by that makes you feel encouraged. So I did this homework. With imagery, what I chose to do was, okay, so when I was a kid, I was obsessed with the book series, The Chronicles of Narnia. And I believed in Narnia, and my friends and I were trying to get to Narnia all the time. So for me, Narnia is kind of like my fantasy world that I could escape to, and I put that for imagery. So I thought about Narnia, my favorite childhood fantasy world. And that really helped because it makes me happy, and I like it. So yeah, thinking of that fantasy world and like what it means to me, that helped. Like, because it says for each survival skill, I should have explained the homework a little bit clearer. For each survival skill, because that's what these are, write down what you did during the week and write down a number to indicate how effective the skill was. So out of 5 for this skill, I put it 3 for effective, 5 being like the most effective and 1 being not that effective. I rated it 3. And then for meaning, I focused on the positive aspects of a painful situation, which is one of the things that's for meaning. And so getting more personal into that, I focused on the positive aspects of my recent breakup with my boyfriend, who is now my ex-boyfriend. And I kind of focused on the positive things about it. And that I found really, really effective. So I rated it a 4 out of 5. And it was really helpful for me to do that. And then for prayer, I actually didn't have time. Like, I don't want to say I didn't have time, but I just didn't do it. I'm Wiccan, so I haven't had that much time to do as much spiritually as I would like to because of school and stress and blah blah blah. But I will start to work on that more and get back into my spirituality a bit more. That was the only one that I didn't do. And then with the relaxation, I breathed deeply, like the diaphragmatic breathing thing, and I rated that a 3 out of 5. For one thing in the moment, I did a body scan awareness exercise for 15 minutes, and you guys feel free to Google what that is exactly, because I don't want to really get into it. I don't want to make this video super long like all the other ones. It's probably going to be long anyways, but I did that for 15 minutes. But after 10 minutes of doing that, I actually fell asleep, and I was kind of very frustrated with myself for falling asleep. When I woke up, I was like, oh. So I rated that a 5 for effectiveness because I fell asleep. So obviously, a 5 is kind of saying that I resisted urges. I think I definitely resisted urges because I fell asleep. So what was I going to do while I was sleeping? So it was effective in that way, but it was not effective in the way that I was totally present in the moment, I guess, because my mind, like, I fell asleep. So, but they said that was completely normal, and that body scan thing is actually people use it to help them go to sleep. So I felt better after hearing that. For the vacation part, I let myself relax and play video games for a bit, like an hour and a half, maybe. And I rated that 4 out of 5 for effectiveness because video games always distract me from what's going on, so. And for encouragement, throughout the week, I reminded myself, and this is kind of like my motto that helps me, that I've noticed that really helps me, is that I'm the most important person in my life. And I don't know if that might sound conceited or whatever, but it's true. Like, I'm the most important person in my life. Like, I am the main character of my own movie or book or whatever. Like, for me, I'm the most important. And I think that's the way it should be, and I never really thought that before. So I rated that a 5 out of 5 for effectiveness because it has really been helping me to kind of remind myself that throughout, like, my daily life, that, hey, like, I am the most important person here in my own life. Like, I need to look out for myself first and others second. And I think realizing that has just been amazing, and that's why I rated the encouragement one a 5 out of 5. Yeah. So that was the homework that we did. And now getting into, like, the other stuff we did in class today. So So today we learned about, reality acceptance skills, how to live a life. Wait, what? How to live a life that is not the life you want. Okay, I don't know why it says it like that. Whatever. Yeah. Just ignore that. I don't know why it says that. Well, I do, but I don't, because I don't think putting it that way. Okay, whatever. Sorry. Anyways, reality acceptance skills. So for this one, we learned 2 things today. 1, radical acceptance, which is like a big concept. And 2, turning the mind. So radical acceptance. Radical acceptance is like a big skill in DBT that a lot of people have issues with, and it's obvious why. I know I'm going to have a lot of issues with doing this, but radical acceptance, when you cannot keep painful events, emotions, and life circumstances from coming your way. So basically, radical acceptance is just accepting things. It's not approving of things that have happened. It's not like, okay, for an example, my mom and I say we got in a big fight, and she said a lot of hurtful things to me, and I said hurtful things to her, whatever. So radical acceptance would be not giving up and being like, well, you know, she was right, like, she should have said those things to me, like, she was right in doing that, blah, blah, blah. But radical acceptance is more like accepting, okay, so this, like, we had a fight, it happened, you can't turn back time, the only thing I can do now is work on steps to change it. So, it's when you stop fighting reality, stop throwing tantrums about reality, and let go of bitterness. It is accepting in your mind, in your heart, and in your body. It is to accept something from the depths of your soul. So that's why it's really hard. And they told us to start small and like focus on things like, say you're stuck in traffic or something. Accept that you're stuck in traffic. Don't accept something huge like I was molested when I was younger. You can't start that at that big of a thing. You have to work little by little, step by step, until you can start actually accepting those big traumatic experiences that you've experienced. Okay, so what has to be accepted? Reality is what it is. The facts about the past and the facts about the present. They're facts, right? You have to know what's a fact. There are limitations on the future in the lives of everyone, but only realistic probabilities need be accepted. Everything has a cause, including events and situations causing you pain. Life can be worth living even with painful events in it, because when you live life, no matter what happens, pain is going to happen to you. It's just a fact of life. So the tricky part is to accept it, and that's what we're learning. So like I said before, radical acceptance is not approval, love, compassion against change. It's not giving up. It's just accepting. And then you can do something about it. It's not giving up at all. Because I kind of raised my hand and asked that in group today. I was like, it sounds like you're just giving up. But no, it's not. It's just accepting. And then doing something about it. You're not just throwing in the towel or whatever. So what are the advantages of accepting reality as it is? What are the advantages of this acceptance? So rejecting reality doesn't change reality. So if my mom died, I could pretend, hey, she didn't die. She's still here. Everything's okay, blah, blah, blah. But that's rejecting it. And that doesn't change that, well, she is actually gone. So it's kind of like being in denial doesn't change what's actually happening, and it's probably going to catch up to you. Changing reality requires first accepting reality. So, like I said before, it's important to accept reality in order to be able to change it. It's not giving up, it's accepting it so that you can take those steps to change it. Pain can't be avoided. It is nature's way of signaling that something is wrong. So like I said, pain happens in life. It's just a fact. Rejecting reality turns pain into suffering. And so I was in group today, I was kind of having a hard time differentiating pain and suffering as two different things. And so they explained it like, pain is kind of what's going to happen no matter what in life. We're all going to experience pain. But suffering is what you add to it. So suffering is being like, well, I should have done this. I should have done that. Or like, I wish that didn't happen. And it's kind of like grieving over it. That's suffering. So you can experience pain without necessarily experience suffering, because in order to not suffer, you have to accept the pain. I hope you guys are understanding. So refusing to accept reality can keep you stuck in unhappiness, bitterness, anger, sadness, shame, or other painful emotions, which I think we can all understand. Acceptance may lead to sadness, but deep calmness usually follows. So when you accept, like my boyfriend broke up with me, for instance, if I accept it, then I'm gonna feel sad at first. I'm gonna be like, well, that sucks. Like, I'm sad. But eventually, like afterwards, I'll feel calm about it because I've accepted it and now I can move on. So I wrote down, you can't truly move on unless you accept. And then I kind of, in group today, I asked a lot of questions in group today. I asked, well, what if there are things that you want to accept that have happened to you years and years and years ago? Can you still learn to accept them, or is that impossible? And so what they said was, there's no expiration date on acceptance. So you can still accept things that have happened a long time ago. It doesn't matter when it happened, you can still accept it. So then here's a couple of factors that interfere with acceptance and make it hard for you to accept reality as it is. 1, you don't have the skills for acceptance. You do not know how to accept really painful events and facts. And so, yeah, the skills they are going to be teaching us. So we will know those skills. So, and you guys will know the skills too if you watch this. You believe that if you accept, you are minimizing or approving of the facts, or that nothing will be done to change or prevent future painful events. Like I talked to you before, it's not giving up. Number 3, emotions get in the way. Unbearable sadness, anger at the person or group that caused the painful event, rage at the injustice of the world, overwhelming shame about who you are, guilt about one's own behavior. So yeah, that interferes with acceptance. So if you kind of put those aside, it'll be easier for you to learn how to accept. So practicing radical acceptance step by step. So these are some steps that I'm going to go over really quickly before this video becomes really, really long, which it probably already is. Hopefully you guys have been watching like the whole videos. I don't know. So the steps for practicing radical acceptance. Number 1, observe. So observe that you are questioning or fighting reality. For example, if you're saying, and I do this a lot, well, if I did this, that wouldn't have happened, or it shouldn't be this way, or I should have done this, or they should have done that. So when you're doing that kind of thinking, when you're thinking that, observe and just kind of note that you are thinking that way, and that you are kind of fighting reality and questioning it. Number 2, remind yourself. So remind yourself that the unpleasant reality is what it is. This is what happened. Like, you can't change that. It is what it is, really. Which I think is a great saying. It is what it is. Number 3, consider causes of the reality and non-judgmentally, I underlined that, non-judgmentally, not I should have, he should have, they should have, not that, without blame. Acknowledge that the causes exist. Notice the history that led up to this very moment. Consider how people's lives have shaped them. Notice that given these causes, given how history led up to this moment, this reality had to occur just this way. This is how things happened that made them this way. So, for example, my breakup. If I hadn't drank as much, well, I shouldn't really say if I hadn't. I should say, like, well, there was a lot of problems in that relationship, both with me and him, and I drank a lot, and being with him didn't make me as happy as it should have, and vice versa, and therefore we broke up. And that's just a non-judgmentally way of saying, like, that happened, that happened, that happened, therefore this happened. So it's kind of the actions that you take or the person takes or whatever, like what has happened for this to happen and how it makes sense, you know? Kind of understanding? And I'm new to all this. I just learned this today, so go easy on me, guys. Number 4, practice accepting. So practice accepting with the whole self, mind, body, and spirit. Be creative in finding ways to involve your whole self. Use accepting self-talk, but also consider using relaxation, mindfulness of your breath, half smiling and willing, well, those are things that we're going to be learning, so skills. While thinking about what feels unacceptable, praying, going to a place that helps bring you acceptance or imagery. So it's kind of saying practice accepting by doing the skills that we're going to be learning and stuff. Number 5, practice opposite action. List all the behaviors you would do if you did accept the facts. Then act as if you have already accepted the facts. Engage in the behaviors that you would do if you really had accepted. So this is kind of just like forcing yourself to like already think that you have accepted it, even if you haven't. So for example, I haven't accepted my breakup totally yet, but I could pretend that I have and then think to myself, okay, if I was over this right now and I accepted it, what would I do differently than what I'm doing? And so for me, that could be anything like, well, I would focus more on like what makes me happy and stuff rather than crying like every day and stuff like that. So that's doing the opposite action. And sometimes that really helps you get into actually accepting it by doing those things that you would do if you had accepted it. Number 6, cope ahead with events. So cope ahead with events that seem unacceptable. Imagine in your mind's eye believing what you don't want to accept. Rehearse in your mind what you would do if you did accept what seems unacceptable. So what would it look like to, it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of very relatable to practicing opposite action. So like, what would it look like if I accepted this? And that's kind of also going into imagery. And number 7, imagine coping with problems that arise if you accept what seems unacceptable. That's kind of just like coping ahead, so I don't know why that's a different thing. Number 8, acknowledge that life can be worth living, even when there is pain. Notice that given the choice, it is better to live with pain than to live in misery or suffering. So that life is still worth living, even though pain is going to come up. Like, it is, what's that word I'm looking for? It's inevitable. Pain is going to happen. Number 9, attend to body sensation as you think about what you need to accept. Number 9, allow disappointment, sadness, or grief to arise within you, which is hard for everybody, but just kind of allow it and accept that that's the way you're feeling. Number 11, notice. Wait, what? That's weird because number 8 and number 11 are the exact same thing, so I'm going to skip that. Number 12, do pros and cons if you find yourself resisting practicing acceptance. So, write down pros and cons of accepting reality. Like, why, like for you, what are the advantages and disadvantages of accepting reality? And then the last thing that we learned today is, and we kind of went over this really quickly, so I don't know how well I'm going to explain this, is turning the mind. So it's choosing, making the choice to reject or accept. So it's obviously the better way, as we have seen, is to accept. So making the choice for yourself to accept reality. So acceptance of reality as it is sometimes requires an act of choice, like I said. You have to make an inner commitment to accept. The commitment to accept does not itself equal acceptance. It just turns you toward the path of acceptance. You have to turn your mind toward acceptance over and over and over again. Sometimes you have to make the commitment many times in the space of a few minutes. Turning the mind is like coming to a fork in the road. You have to turn your mind towards the acceptance road, away from rejecting reality. So turning the mind step by step. Number 1, observe that you are not accepting. So kind of notice when you're not accepting reality. Look for anger, bitterness, annoyance, avoiding emotions, saying, why me? Why is this happening? I can't stand this. That kind of negative thinking. Observe that that's the way you're thinking. Number 2, go within yourself and make an inner commitment to accept that this is happening, to accept reality as it is. Number 3, do it again, over and over. It's a cycle. Keep turning your mind to acceptance each time you come to that place, that fork in the road where you can either reject reality or accept it. So keep going to acceptance and keep repeating that, and it will become easier and easier for you to go to accept. And number 4, develop a plan for catching yourself when you drift out of acceptance in the future. So that's a plan that whatever works for you. You know, maybe every time that you catch yourself drifting out of acceptance, maybe write it down and just, notice that you're doing that, and then try to think, okay, well, you could do the pros and cons thing as well. I think that would really help. And then, so that's what we learned today. Sorry. So yeah, for homework for next week, we're gonna start off small, of like accepting small things and big things. And you haven't obviously not done the homework yet because I just got it. So for my next video, and this is why at the beginning of the video I explained, it'll make a lot more sense, the homework, for you guys if you watch the previous video. Because next week I could be talking about something completely different than radical acceptance, but at the beginning of the video I will be talking about the radical acceptance homework from this session that I'm going to do for next week, if that makes sense. Take a breath. So yeah, that's what we learned today in group, and it's going to be hard for me, as I'm sure hard for everybody in the group, to learn to accept and it's not going to happen overnight. And by next week, I'm sure I'm not going to be like, oh, I accept everything. I'm sure it's going to take a lot of time, and this is just the beginning of that progress. So today, I guess in general for the group, I noticed that I'm still pretty anxious to share things, but after I do share one thing, it's easier for me to continue that. So I did ask a lot of questions in group today, and it was good, and I felt that my questions were answered, which is a great feeling to have. And yeah, this group was good. So I hope that this little mini web series on my path to mindfulness, I hope it's really helping you guys as well. Because yeah, this is my DBT skills group, and you guys, if you're just tuning in now, then to this video, please make sure you go back to where I first started it in session 1 and explaining the group and everything a little bit more into detail so you guys understand where I am now in session 6. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can comment below and ask me or message me. And if you have any like if you're going through a hard time yourself and I didn't explain something well enough for you to understand, then please ask any questions you want, and just message me, whatever. And I always reply. I always try my best to reply, and I usually do. So, not always, but if it's negative comments, then I don't reply. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this. And if you are, please like this video and subscribe. Okay, so I will talk to you guys again soon. I'll make a new video very soon. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye, guys. Blessed be.